Start by talking about the term red flags. You've probably heard it tossed around in conversations about dating or relationships, but what does it really mean? Red flags are warning signs, behaviors, or traits that signal something might be off in a relationship. Interestingly, some red flags can feel oddly familiar, almost comfortable. This is often because they echo patterns we experience growing up, especially from our parents or caregivers. When negative behaviors are part of our upbringing, we might not even notice them as problematic. They just seem normal. That's why it's so important to recognize how our childhood shapes the way we see and respond to relationship dynamics. Have you ever wondered why certain negative behaviors don't set off alarm bells for you? It's often because they feel like home. If you grew up around constant criticism or emotional distance, you might unconsciously seek out similar dynamics as an adult. Our brains are wired to find comfort in the familiar, even when it's not healthy. This can make it tough to spot red flags in our own relationships, especially when those patterns have been with us since childhood. Recognizing this is the first step toward breaking the cycle and building healthier connections. Let's dive into the first red flag: avoiding conflict at all costs. Maybe you grew up in a home where arguments were swept under the rug, or where no one ever admitted to being wrong. As an adult, you might find yourself dodging disagreements, thinking it keeps the peace. But in reality, avoiding conflict can hide deeper issues and prevent real growth in a relationship. Healthy relationships require open communication and the willingness to address problems, even when it's uncomfortable. If you notice yourself or your partner always steering clear of tough conversations, it's worth asking where that pattern comes from. Conflict isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it's a natural part of any close relationship. When handled with respect and honesty, disagreements can lead to better understanding and stronger bonds. If you grew up in an environment where conflict was seen as dangerous or shameful, it's understandable to feel uneasy about it now. But learning to face disagreements head-on is a crucial skill for healthy relationships. It's about taking responsibility, listening, and working together to find solutions. Second red flag is being with someone who's overly critical. If your parents were quick to point out your flaws or rarely offered praise, you might be drawn to partners who do the same. Sometimes criticism is disguised as help or advice, but it can chip away at your confidence over time. Encouragement and constructive feedback are important, but constant criticism is not. It's a sign that something deeper might be going on, often linked to patterns from childhood. Living with constant criticism can make you feel like you're never good enough. Over time, you might start to believe those negative messages even when they're not true. It's important to recognize when feedback is meant to help you grow versus when it's just tearing you down. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and support, not on finding fault with each other. If you notice a pattern of criticism, it's worth reflecting on where it started and how it affects your self-esteem. Now let's talk about the savior complex and excessive dependence. If you grew up in a family where you had to take care of a parent or constantly put others' needs before your own, you might find yourself in relationships where you feel responsible for your partner's happiness. This can lead to unhealthy dynamics, where your own needs are always on the back burner. It's important to remember that while supporting each other is healthy, feeling solely responsible for someone else's well-being is not. It's easy to confuse caring for someone with taking on their problems as your own. If you notice that you're always the one fixing things or sacrificing your happiness for your partner, it's time to pause and reflect. Healthy relationships are about balance. Both people should feel supported and valued. When dependence becomes excessive, it can drain your energy and leave you feeling unfulfilled. Setting boundaries and prioritizing your own needs is not selfish. It's necessary for a strong partnership. Another major red flag is feeling like you're never good enough. Maybe your parents had high expectations and rarely expressed satisfaction, leaving you always striving for approval. In relationships, this can show up as seeking validation from your partner or feeling crushed by their disappointment. It's a tough cycle to break, but it's important to remember that your worth isn't defined by someone else's standards. Everyone has unique strengths and value. It's not easy to unlearn the belief that you have to earn love or approval, but recognizing where these feelings come from is a powerful first step. Start by noticing when you're seeking validation from others and remind yourself of your own strengths. Building self-worth takes time and patience, but it's possible. Healthy relationships are built on mutual appreciation, not constant comparison or disappointment. You might wonder why it's so hard to spot these red flags in the first place. The answer often lies in our upbringing. When certain behaviors are normalized in childhood, they become part of our relationship blueprint. We might not question them even when they cause pain. That's why self-awareness is so important. By reflecting on our past, we can start to see patterns more clearly and make conscious choices about the relationships we build. Childhood experiences shape so much of how we view love, trust, and connection. The way our parents handled conflict, expressed affection, or set boundaries becomes our model for adult relationships. Sometimes this means repeating unhealthy patterns without even realizing it. But the good news is we can change. By understanding where our relationship habits come from, we can start to build healthier, more fulfilling connections. Self-awareness is the key to breaking free from old patterns. Take time to reflect on your relationship history and notice any recurring themes. Are there certain red flags you tend to overlook? Do you find yourself drawn to similar dynamics again and again? By asking these questions, you can start to make more intentional choices about who you let into your life and how you show up in relationships. Healthy relationships are built on trust, respect, and open communication. It's okay to have disagreements as long as both people feel heard and valued. Encouragement, support, and mutual appreciation go a long way. If you notice red flags, don't ignore them. See them as opportunities to grow and make better choices. Remember, it's never too late to change your relationship patterns and build the kind of connection you truly deserve. As we wrap up, remember that recognizing red flags is a sign of strength, not weakness. Everyone has patterns from their past, but you have the power to choose differently. With self-awareness and a willingness to grow, you can create healthier, more loving relationships. Be kind to yourself as you learn and change. Healing is a journey, and every step counts.